beat the Wings.
Yeah, what is it? The Aces can't beat the Wings. The Wings can't beat the Lynx. The Lynx can't beat
the Aces.
Oh yeah, the Aces.
So far.
The Valkyrie can't beat the Lynx.
Yeah,
it's just like a big circle thing they're going.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Raising the Game, a women's sports podcast covering primetime performers, the business behind the athletes in the leagues, and what the growth of women's sports means for the next generation of women's athletes.
Here we are, episode 25.
Yes.
Halfway to the goal, I think that you set for us.
Halfway to the goal, about halfway through the year.
Yeah.
We're still here.
It's
Still loving
amazing.
it. Having a good time.
Have got a lot of fun stuff tonight.
So many things.
Are going to look into the NWSL, I believe.
Yes.
We're going to talk about.
We're almost out of lack of women's soccer purgatory.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
But we are going to talk about the NWSL coming back, what the World Cup has meant for the NWSL is a little bit of a piggyback off of our episode last week. And really get y'all hyped for return to play.
Yeah, then I think we got some PWHL coverage.
Yes, draft happened last week.
Yes, it did. We'll see how
came with drama.
See how right we were.
We were not very right.
We did get a lot of the top 10 picks correct, just not in the right order. So,
and then rounding out with
of course, WNBA
action.
Yeah.
We're at about that test point that Alex has been mentioning, or had mentioned as his thing to watch as the season got started, right? About 15 games in for all teams.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a heat check.
Yep.
Where are we at? And what do we expect to see in the next 15?
Yeah, absolutely. Should we do favorite thing?
Yes, we should.
All right. You go first because I have a bunch.
Oh, okay. Great. So my favorite thing, there may have been a few, but this one was really timely. So last night I'm watching the first ESPN Sunday night women's sports broadcast where we've talked about that here, where they have officially made that part of their standard Sunday night programming in the summer. And you have this classic matchup in WNBA, kind of the historical annals of the New York Liberty versus the Los Angeles Sparks. And of course, we're celebrating 30 years in the W, and so they really plan it up. They've got former stars there. Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo is obviously calling the game. You've got Teresa Weatherspoon, probably others who I didn't see on the broadcast necessarily. But you have two teams right now in the W, the Liberty, who are a dominant force, a perennial contender for the title, who really seemed like they were like hitting this stride, right? Yeah. And they had jumped to third place in the league. We had said that was possible because they kind of had this stretch of games. And then you have the Sparks, who frankly really have been struggling. They've really been bolstered primarily behind the play of Kelsey Plum and not really much else. But we've been saying for weeks about them, like they have the pieces.
Yeah, they do.
And y'all, you couldn't have scripted this better. So this is my whole point is it's maybe it was scripted. I don't know. But you had the Sparks down by like 15 or 16 points at one point in the first half to the Liberty. The Liberty have all of these all-stars. The Sparks Liberty are covering up Kelsey Plum. Like she's not really getting any open looks. She kind of looks hesitant out there and gets down to the wire. Last possession, Sparks are down by 2, and Erica Wheeler with the kick out to the top of the arc to Nneka Agumake, we call her Madam President, hits the tray to win by 1 at the buzzer. Nneka's number is 30. We're celebrating 30. Yeah. She's the one who is the leader through this historic CBA. Like,
what a wild story.
What a thing. Yeah. Like, I love a good sports story like that. So I was hyped about it.
That was awesome. My favorite thing is Caitlin doesn't know what I'm about to do. So here we go. We have some stats for our first 25 episodes.
Okay.
A stat chart.
I'm nervous.
Total listeners so far. 1,950, 896 on Spotify, and 1,054 views on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. number 2 here, the total ums, uhs, and silences over 24 episodes. We said 1,019 times, 742 times, and we had 270 silences longer than 3 seconds.
All right. I have something to say about that, but you keep going.
Countries. There have been at least 14. The Spotify analytics are not great at pulling out countries, so most of those are on YouTube. We had 1 viewer in India.
Oh, all right.
So there you go. Total words spoken, 324,645 words across 24 episodes.
Okay.
Using a 70K words as average novel length, we have spoken 4.6 novels worth of words.
Oh, wow.
So if you're listening to an audiobook, it's like we read 4.5 books to you.
Amazing.
Distinct sports and leagues covered. We have 58. Now, obviously, there's like some overlap there, like Olympic hockey versus Olympic this and that. But 58 total leagues covered.
Okay.
Episode 19 was our most listened to with 141 combined listens. It covered PWHL playoff chaos, the Detroit expansion, WNBA season 30 opens, and NWSL week 7.
Oh, all right.
Number of times we said like 5,787.
Okay.
4 per minute over the course of our episodes. Instagram metrics, 792 followers, 150 posts over the last 90 days, because that's as far back as you can look. 340,000 views, reached 170,000 accounts, 16,500 interactions, 10,200 likes, 1,100 comments, 744 saves, 1,900 shares, and 283 reposts.
Wow.
And then distinct athletes mentioned, it's in the neighborhood of 75 to 80 is what we could pull out of the transcripts. And then we had 2,142 times that we started our sentences with so. So those are our stats for the first 24 episodes. And I thought I would do something fun to call out our first kind of 25 episodes.
That's fun. Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
That's fun. I can't tell if it's a critique of how we're speaking. Do we need to make improvements?
Maybe.
Maybe a few. I would like to say that pausing and not hesitating, but waiting to formulate your thoughts, I think is a better move than just filling space.
Yes, 100%.
So you're never really going to take that away from me. We could maybe drop a few likes here and there.
Well, maybe.
Like,
all right. Should we move on to headlines?
That's so fun. Yes, I love it.
All right. Serena is back, set to compete in the singles tournament at Wimbledon as the final wild card.
Okay, back. We knew she was going to compete in doubles with Venus, but then all of a sudden drops this news in the middle of the week last week that she is taking that final wild.
It felt like last week, and they were asking her, and she's like, "Oh, is it open?"
Well, she said something like, "Would it matter to you if I came back?"
Yeah.
And then like the next day she announces it. So in addition, obviously, to competing in singles now in this wild card spot, she's competing with Venus.
Yeah.
I was listening to another interview with her, and she said that Olympia, her older daughter, just said, "Mommy, you should compete with Auntie."
Yeah.
And she was like, okay,
I guess
we'll do it. So just for tracking purposes, right, the two of them together have won 14 Grand Slam titles as doubles partners. 6 of these have come at Wimbledon.
Wow.
So you want to talk about a space where they have dominated. Between the two of them, they have 21 total titles on the grass. Their first doubles win at Wimbledon was in 2000. Their last was in 2016.
Jeez.
So it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. But in that time, they won 6 Wimbledon titles. Also, Venus turns 46 this week.
All right.
Serena's 44. So one of the articles I was reading, so at the combined age of 90. And what I love is, like, I love these women stepping back into, or in Venus's case, frankly, has never left. Right?
Yeah.
She's just been competing the whole time. But We'd love to see kind of changing that narrative around once you reach a certain age, you're no longer able to compete at the highest level.
Yeah.
And they're really kind of turning that on its head. Now, one other thing I got to mention, I am talking a little bit more about this because I'm so excited about it, but we would be remiss to not talk about Serena's kind of the business impact that is going to have. So we talked about this a few weeks. She competed at the in London at the Queen's Club, right?
Yeah.
And she competed in doubles there. She won the first round with Vicky Mboko. Vicky got a knee injury, so she had to withdraw. But at London's Queen's Club, the sell-through for tickets jumped to 95% capacity, up from 88% capacity from last year. Multiple sellout days after her announcement, including the day that she played a first round doubles match, sold out the whole day. Yeah. Right. Social media engagement surged 300%, and media and on-site demand reached their capacity levels, which they were not. That wasn't the case prior to her announcement. So all eyes on Wimbledon now. Absolutely. Right. And see how she influences kind of the marketing and the things that are going to happen there, right?
Yeah, 100%. WNBA announces an expanded 50-game season for 2027.
This is big. They play 44 regular season games now, so that's 6 more games per team. We right now have 15 teams in the W. We're going to have 16 next year. So you're talking about adding 96 games. Yeah. If I just did my math correctly, to the schedule, which is huge. So you think about the implications of that. That's more broadcast, more advertising, more opportunity to see these players, more games for fans to go to. Certainly a signal that the WNBA is feeling good about their growth. And something that Kathy Engelbert has talked about recently is, do we go international? Yeah. So do we go play some games a la the NFL, right? And go play overseas.
Are they thinking Mexico? Are they thinking like overseas? I
think they're thinking like you go play a few games with like the Liberty or the Spark, like these really well-known teams overseas for a couple games, right?
Caitlin Clark debuts her new signature shoe with Nike, set to release in October.
Yeah, so Clark joins, I think she signed, it was like a 6 or 8 year, $20+ million deal with Nike. And this is her first shoe. It's called the Caitlin 1. Yeah. She joined Sabrina Ionescu and Asia Wilson with signature shoes under the Nike brand. And then you've got Angel Reese with Reebok, who also debuted a new colorway at the same game that Caitlin debuted her shoes. And then I didn't know this, but Brianna Stewart has a signature shoe with Puma.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
1 through 5, apparently. Okay. She's had the longest running signature shoe deal in the W.
All right. In WNBA action, Olivia Miles just keeps breaking records. Marina Mabrey ties record for most three-pointers made in a single game. And Indiana just set the kind of record you don't want, becoming the first team to lose 3 times in 15 games when scoring 100 or more points.
Yeah, not a club you want to be a part of. Although I will say they're playing right now and seem like they may be turning it around. But back-to-back losses against the Dream over the weekend. One of those being one where they scored over 100, didn't win. In one of those games, though, I do want to call out another record. Angel Reese of the Atlanta Dream became the fastest player in WNBA history to 1,000 career points and 1,000 career rebounds. So flowers for
her.
Angel.
Unrivaled starts a campaign announcing players who have signed on for next season using a new names on the map treasure hunt theme.
So this to me is really interesting when you think about the marketing tactic. So we're like many months away from Unrivaled, but we are right in the thick of WNBA attention. And so Unrivaled is making this play of, hey, here are players that you're seeing around the W right now. They are going to be playing in our league come January, right? So 2 of those players that have been announced so far, the rest we have to wait for our treasure hunt clues to come. We've got Gabby Williams from the Golden State Valkyries and none other than Flau'jae Johnson, the Rook, from the Seattle Storm. So we will be watching over the next couple of days here. I have no idea how many players they're announcing.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how many things we're going to hear there, but I love the approach and the attack and taking advantage of the momentum around women's basketball right now.
No shortage of drama during the NWSL break for the World Cup, with international signings, coaching changes, and interleague transfers making headlines.
Whew. I don't even know if we have all of them here. There's probably more, but the big ones for us to know, and that will come up again in our NWSL segment. Sam Kerr, Australian national team and former Chelsea superstar, signs with Gotham FC. This is a big deal.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
In the meantime, Lily Real, a 2025 NWSL Rookie of the Year and current U.S. Women's National Team defender, signs with Boston Legacy through 2029. So she came from Gotham and is moving to Boston. Yeah. And then Angel City, Alex is going to talk a lot about this, but they just we're just like shake the tree, right?
Yeah. I think I talk about this 2 more times throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Here.
Coaching changes, some trades. I'll let you talk about that in a little bit. Then we saw Temwa Schwinga sign an extension on her contract with KC Current through 2029. And then there are rumors about La Reina, the queen of them all, Alexis Putellas, coming potentially to the NWSL, which threw us for a loop because we thought she had agreed to terms with Lion City Lionesses. But if she comes here,
be huge. Yeah, big news.
Yeah.
All right. Marketing efforts by the NWSL and U.S. Soccer during the Men's World Cup are everywhere, from sidewalk paint stencils for the new NWSL Atlanta team to U.S. Women's National Team stars like Lindsay Heaps and Trinity Rodman delivering game balls, to Emma Hayes doing poignant, accessible, smart breakdowns of tactics during mandatory hydration breaks.
Yeah, basically everywhere you look, you are seeing things promoting either the U.S. soccer, like the U.S. Women's National Team, or the NWSL. And I was listening to a podcast today where they were talking to one of the marketing heads in the NWSL and really expanding more on this concept of like, let's ride this wave and expose fans to players and coaches and teams and cities, right, where there are NWSL teams are going to be NWSL teams like Atlanta.
FIFA launches a free evidence-backed course for female health and performance, including modules on fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum.
We need more of this. Yeah. I love it.
PWHL draft draws a crowd, reactions from fans.
And we're going to get into a little bit more of this in our PWHL segment, but it looked like a beautiful, like they did a great job with the production of that. Yeah. Like I think made the players feel really awesome. Packed house where they hosted. Yeah. So really cool to see.
Kilmer Sports Ventures and Illich Companies have joined the PWHL as strategic partners, becoming the first outside investors since the league started in 2023.
So this is a huge signal for the long-term plans, I think, of the PWHL. Kilmer Sports Ventures are set to invest $100 million in the league. The Illich Company's investment was not disclosed. So more than $100 million going into the PWHL. Kilmer Sports Ventures in particular brings a Canadian investment group aboard, which I think is really important as we've only had the Walter Group really funding this from the get. And so to get some Canadian investment and buy-in on that side of the border is good, as we have a league that crosses borders. They are behind other teams like the Toronto Tempo in the WNBA, the Toronto Blue Jays as well. And then Illich Companies also owns the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL team in Detroit. And they happen to also own Little Caesars Arena, where the PWHL Detroit team will play alongside the Red Wings.
Ottawa charged to make Canadian Tire Center permanent home they will share with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. They were able to pretty much sell that place out all through the playoffs when they got to play there. And so I think there's a avid fan base there that wants to go to more games.
It's a good move. In LPGA action, Miyu Yamashita wins the Meyer Classic in Belmont, Michigan.
Yeah, this was apparently like a not contentious, but like a down to the wire finish this past weekend.
In the Women's National Football Conference, the Texas Elite Spartans cap off an undefeated season to win the title again and cement their position as the best team in women's professional football. Is that like 3 or 4 now?
I was trying to think back to when we did like an overview.
Yeah,
I was like, haven't they won all of the championships?
It might have been all. I thought it was at least the last 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
they are quite good.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't lose this season. Yep. San Diego Rebellion may have challenged them, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, let's dig into this. We are talking about some soccer.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we left off the NWSL to go on this break, and we had a list of like, who do we think the break hurts and who do we think it helps? So just to refresh our memories, this was from episode 22, so about 3 episodes ago now. We said that this break was going to help Denver, Summit, Gotham FC, and then potentially our sliding teams like Chicago, Racing Louisville, Seattle, Reign, and Bay FC. Mostly because you kind of get to stop the bleeding for a little bit. You get a little bit more time to like sit back and game plan and make changes, which some of these teams have.
Yep.
Who might it hurt? We said Utah, right? Utah was on this like unreal 10 or 11 game win streak going into the break. I think it's really hard to like sustain that momentum. Houston had been on a little bit of a surge and then they had to hit the break, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And same thing with North Carolina. So those were the teams that we talked about a few weeks ago. We are going to talk about some teams that have made changes or have had certain events happen that we think are going to have huge impacts on the second half of the season.
We're going to talk about Angel City.
You ready to talk about Angel City?
A lot has happened at Angel City.
A lot happened in a very short amount of time.
So they did fire their head coach, Alexander Strauss. Leaf Gunnar Smirud, one of the assistant coaches, is now the interim coach. So they'll be dealing not only with everything else that's happening, but a new coach on top of it as well. They also, as you said, and I think in the headlines, traded Kennedy Fuller to Bay FC for $500K in transfer funds and $20K in allocation money. They then signed U.S. Women's National Team forward Ali Sentnor from the Kansas City Current for $850,000. She, for those of you who don't know, has 22 caps and 7 international goals for the national team. So yeah, they're currently sitting in 12th place. It's looking like they're still trying to make something of this season. I don't know how hard it is to come in with a new coach halfway through the season and be like, we got to figure this out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably beneficial that he was already on the staff. So he's not going to have to come in, at least right now. Obviously, they may be looking for a new head coach, but right now, knows the players, knows the facilities, knows the leadership, right? I think what's tricky is sort of like, what do you bring differently to the table that the head coach that you were reporting to before, that you feel like you can change for us? It's interesting because Angel City FC started the season so hot. Like they were scoring, they were leading the league in goals. They were really, really looking good. And then they had some unfortunate injuries, which happens in a season. And then just like couldn't figure it out. Right. I think their last like kind of good result was they had a 0-0 draw against Portland, like right before the break, which is big, but unable to win games, right? And so I think the ownership, leadership there must have been saying like, something's got to give. We've got the pieces. You're the problem.
Yeah, and
right.
I mean, it kind of feels like even down in that spot, in the 12th spot, it feels like they do want to win now. Like they're trying to make something happen with this season.
Yeah. And remember, you've got to get to that 8th position to be in playoffs. So
Yeah.
the other thing that's interesting there, and I don't know exactly the specifics on this, but they've had kind of a coaching carousel a little bit over there from what I'm remembering, last couple seasons. So it also could be one of those things where, hey, we're gonna fail fast.
Yeah.
This isn't gelling for us.
Yep.
I think this was Alex Strauss's first season starting this season as a head coach.
Okay.
I think he had picked up that role midway through last season. I don't know if he was in an interim. Like, I don't know. But they're clearly trying to find the right fit for the player pool that they have.
Yeah. Just bringing in new players, getting rid of players. How's that change the chemistry, you think?
I honestly don't know enough about Kennedy Fuller to speak too much to her, but obviously bringing Sentnor in, you're bringing in a lot of like high level leadership. Now she's still relatively new in her like international, she's relatively new in her professional career, period. But she is from everything I gather about her, very positive. She has a nose for goal. I mean, she's, what did it say, 7 goals in 22 appearances for the national team. That's a goal every 3 games. Like, that's pretty good for a young player. So I think she brings them some energy. I was also thinking about, for Sentnor, playing in KC, I don't even know if she was starting all the time, because you've got the likes of Temwa Schwinga, you have Michelle Cooper.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of players that probably got the nod in front of her.
Yep.
And so this actually might put her in position to be a starter as well, which will help her
give her something to prove out there too. And like just really take advantage of it.
Exactly.
All right. Moving on to San Diego. Poor San Diego.
Oh, man.
Dudinha tore her ACL and meniscus in that friendly versus the United States. Stretchered off after kind of awkwardly challenging Emily Sonnet. She had 5 goals and 4 assists going through the season so far.
Yeah, this one's just gut-wrenching.
Real bummer.
I really think that Dudinha was the one that, even when she wasn't necessarily the assist, she was creating opportunities for them. She was always around the ball. Now, the good thing for San Diego is they do have a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
Right. You've got Kenza Dali. You've got I can't think of her first name right now, but Godfrey, the rookie, who's playing really well. You've got Ludmila. You've got Melanie Barcenas, who usually has been coming off the bench, but like, does this give her, the youngster, an opportunity? So they're fortunate in that way. It will be interesting to see like how big of an impact was Dudinha having on specifically the offense for that team. They
also signed Sandra Panos, Spanish international keeper, 3-time UEFA Champions League winner with Barca. I feel like towards the end of weren't they kind of getting scored on quite a bit there? Is she going to come in and actually start this?
And I think if there was a question mark for the Wave, it might have been in just some consistency in net, right? You have Kennedy Wesley there anchoring the back line, but I think there were some questions about the quality and consistency they were getting from that keeper spot.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to see if they can hold on here. I think they are first in the table at the break, so we'll see what happens there. Bay FC, like we said earlier, they acquired Kennedy Fuller from Angel City. The last game I have in here, the last game before the break was a 3-1 loss to Orlando. They sit at 13 in the standings. Do you think the reset gives them an opportunity to maybe dig out of this hole?
Maybe. I've watched maybe like 2 of their games so far, and they seem very flat. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if Fuller maybe helps with that. Like, there's just not a lot of dynamism in like their tactical approach.
Yep.
And they have very much struggled to score goals. Yeah. So if that was a good move to, like, if she's kind of a playmaker, can bring some spark to the midfield there or something, that'll be helpful for them. They certainly are in that kind of zone right now where if they don't like they aren't able to step on the gas coming out of the break, they don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a shot at playoffs. So, and that would be unfortunate. They had a tough season last year, their inaugural season, and so having that happen in back-to-back years, like,
kind of a bummer,
especially in like the women's sports capital of the world, basically, which is the Bay Area. So, all right, I'm gonna talk about a few teams here. So I've alluded to this first team I'm going to mention already, but Gotham FC, to me, I think that they have potential to just come roaring out of this break. This was before they had signed Sam Kerr. And now
really can.
They have signed Sam Kerr. And frankly, one of the things that I had grumbled a little bit about when it came to Gotham prior to the break was they did seem to inconsistently find the back of the net, right? You throw a Sam Kerr up top, you're finding the back of the net. Now you put her, you now have her, you have Esther, the Spanish international star. You've got Jaden Shaw up there, Rose Lavelle. Like, you have an offensive engine and people who can get Kerr the ball. I can't really imagine working like an Alexia Putellas into that group at this point. I actually think she probably is a better fit at like a Boston where there aren't really like superstar players up top. Now, can you get her the ball? That's the other side of it. But they lose Lily Real in the back. I do think that's unfortunate, but I feel like Gotham is just so deep. That's another one where I'm like, I'm not really sure how harmful that is for them. They also have this advantage of being one of the like faces of the league type teams, and they're being featured in some really big matches coming off the break that I think probably force them to stay a little sharper during this time away. They play Kansas City Current, last year's Shield winners or regular season winners in the Challenge Cup this coming Friday. And so that's a rematch of or not a rematch, but kind of this annual thing that the NWSL does. And then on July 15th, they play in what they're calling the Queen's Classic, which is Gotham. It's going to be played against Washington Spirit. So that is a rematch of last year's final game, but they're playing that in Citi Field in Queens, New York, where the Mets play.
All right.
And so there's a big push there. And I don't know if you've heard, but like New York right now is like just rushed with energy after the Knicks championship and NBA championship. But then you also think about the amount of World Cup hosting that they're doing. So in the final game of the Men's World Cup will be hosted in New York. And so you're just like, there's so many eyes.
Well, they did like that $5 ticket thing.
They're blocking some sets of tickets for the Citi Field game, the Queen's Classic game. So like, you have this like perfect storm of ingredients for a lot of eyes on you, which can translate into pressure, but also that can kind of generate those moments, those sports moments, like I talked about before. So I will be watching them. I will also be watching Boston now because they just got Lily Real and they might get Alexia Putellas, right? So like, and we talked about that team, like they really struggled at the beginning, but they seem to be settling in as we headed into break. So we'll see what happens there. My other team to watch is the Denver Summit. So we mentioned this before, but they get Lindsay Heaps coming off of the break here, coming off of her international duty with the U.S. women's national team and finishing up her career at Lyon. But the other thing that's really unique to keep in mind about the Denver Summit is because their home field is being built right now, they actually have played an outsized number of away games in the first part of the season.
Games coming up here.
So they have a lot of home games, which home crowds are really nice. When you are a home team in Denver, you also get the altitude on your side.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you have teams coming in who
you get more rest, you get everything.
You try to prep for altitude. It never really feels great unless you're able to be there for like at least a week, right? Yeah. And most teams just like aren't able to do that because of match schedule. So they will have potentially an advantage to take there. I have 2 honorable mentions. Utah, we talked about it. I mean, as soon as it starts, will they win?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's going to be a team where every week we're going to be saying, will they win as long as that streak continues? Right. And then once they lose, it's like, can they get back on the train?
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
We talk about that a lot with the Lynx right now in the WNBA. Yeah. Like, can they make sure that a loss doesn't turn into
multiple losses?
And then my other honorable mention is Houston. The reason for this is that last season, there was an international break in the middle of the season around the same time, a little bit shorter, but they typically take a break end of June, early July. Last season, Houston came back off this break. They were like way out of the playoff picture, and they went on a tear that got them almost all the way back qualified for playoffs.
Crazy.
And they had been on that little like upswing, right, before the break. And so I'm kind of like, maybe
keep it going.
Maybe this really young team has like settled in, and now they've had some time to like, again, like younger team, right? So they've had some time to like do more connection, watch more film, do all the things. Can they go? Can they go now?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that'll be really fun to watch them.
Yeah. Wrapping this section just on the NWSL and soccer in general up, I want to just like remind our audience and remind us, right, the criticality of the moment right now for women's professional soccer in America. You have this we've talked about it before, but like this really critical 5-year timeline that's hopefully leading up to the Women's World Cup being hosted potentially here with Mexico and some other countries, right? You have the Men's World Cup here for the first time in, I think it was like 32 years or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. That is attracting a ton of eyeballs and attention. A lot of people paying attention or hearing about soccer that never really paid attention to it. I heard a statistic this morning that back when, this is actually kind of funny, back when we hosted the Men's World Cup in 1994, soccer was the 67th most watched or followed sport in the United States. Right behind tractor pulling.
I was going to say, what are the 66 other sports?
I don't know what the other ones were, but the point is, even if that's not even if that research is a little suspect, the point is that soccer is not 67th on that list anymore. And so the NWSL has correctly calculated, we now have people who are just more interested in this sport in general. The Men's World Cup is going to finish up. Obviously, here in the States, we still have the MLS season to play. This is their last year playing on this calendar. But sort of like, if I can just scrape off people who want to, who enjoy this sport. But honestly, when you think about the World Cup and some of the beauty that we're seeing around it right now, it's about the community and the camaraderie and the fans, right? Going into the World Cup, if you read any news about it, it sounded like it was going to be an absolute disaster, right? And there's still a lot of questions to be answered about the governing body and the choices that they've made and the commercialization that they've pushed with this tournament. But the people who are enjoying it right now are the fans and the communities around where these games are being played. And what sports do we have heavy emphasis on community and engagement?
Well, we've talked about the whole time
sports.
We've done this.
It's women's sports, right? And so I think that there's a bet being made by the NWSL right now to say, hey, we do that over here. Right? And then how do I spotlight my fans? How do I spotlight my product? You know, we've talked about some of those tentpole events for them.
I think in 5 years, when you look back at was, where was the point where women's soccer really took off even more? It's not going to be from next year's Women's World Cup. It's going to be from this year with what they're laying the groundwork for right now.
Yep. And you think about like trying to draw attention to the international stars who are part of the NWSL, who will play in next year's Women's World Cup, who will be back for their national teams in LA in 2028 for the Olympics, and all of that kind of rolling towards 2031 and that World Cup with potential to host. So really cool to see. I love the bets that they're making. I love that they're leaning in instead of leaning out. I also think the break is really smart, because if they tried to play through this, they'd get lost in the shuffle.
I think back to like our first 5 to 10 episodes where we were talking about, is the WNBA paying attention to the NWSL?
Yeah.
Because the NWSL seems to be doing a lot of smart business moves.
Yeah, agree.
Right.
Agree.
So, all right.
Time will tell.
We will see. All right. We're going to talk PWHL draft. And I think we're going to get into a couple of teams and what happened with two of them. First, let's do a quick rundown. We're going to go over our picks. Our picks, Vancouver, we had Carolyn Harvey, which we got correct. Yay us.
I don't think anyone got that wrong.
No. I will bet a lot of people got this wrong. We had Seattle taking Layla Edwards. They took Abby Murphy. And then that's where the dominoes started to fall for us. We had Vegas taking Abby Murphy. They took Tessa Janicki. We had San Jose taking Tessa Janicki.
Hey, at least in that top 4, it was all the same people, just taken differently than what we thought.
Then Vegas took, we had them taking Kirsten Sims. They took Lacey Eden. Hey, Hamilton, Nellie Leighton. They took Nellie Leighton.
Nellie.
Then New York, we had Lacey Eden. They took Emma Peschel. Toronto, Izzy Wonder. They took Kirsten Sims. We had Minnesota taking Eliza Jalapenian. They took Sarah Swiderski. Boston, we had taken Emma Peschel. They took Grace Dwyer. Ottawa, we had taken Sydney Morrow. They took Vivian. Jungles. I'm sorry, Vivian. I did not look that up beforehand. And then we had Montreal taking Sarah Swiderski, and they took Petra Nieminen. We actually had 9 of the 12.
Oh, that's pretty correct. Good. I was just trying to do
not
that
in
math.
The order.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a good
for casual college hockey fans.
Yes, exactly.
We did pretty well.
Exactly.
Also casual, not knowing all the PWHL teams needs and all of that.
Yes.
Because who knew what they needed this year? Because everyone's team was
exactly. All right. So I think the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to kind of talk about the expansion / draft approach for a couple of teams. I'm going to talk about Detroit here. And I think what was really interesting is they seemed to go all in on the early phases.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to pull out what I have here is a veteran heavy, mostly offensive core.
Yeah.
Right. So they started with Daryl Watts, who got she's a forward, got the first 4-year deal in PWHL history. Jesse Comfer, another forward. Britta Curl, another forward. Caleb Barnes, defense, and Hannah Bilka, forward. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of built that. They're going to be your leaders on your team. They're going to be most of your offensive talent.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
there.
just a bunch of national team stars, Olympic medal winning players.
Then they pulled in Sydney Bard, defense, Taylor Gerard, forward, Shion Darkangelo, forward, and Nina Jope-Smith, defense, to kind of round out right before the draft. And then right before the draft was their big move, Hillary Knight.
Right.
Via sign and trade with Vegas, they would give their 5th overall pick to Vegas in return for Hillary Knight. And then they also did more trading at the draft. Right. So first pick 15, they picked up Andrea Brondley.
Yeah.
From
goaltender.
Frölunda HC in the Swedish. Yeah.
I just
goaltender. Yeah. Sorry. Keeper, goaltender. Yeah.
Soccer to hockey.
And then they traded Ellie Huber and got a pick to get 2 picks later in the draft. And then just kind of rounded out the rest of their depth with a bunch of forwards and defense players. So I thought it was just interesting that they really went all in on that big talent up front versus, I think it was like Vegas, who kind of was like, didn't really.
They just signed a bunch of defenders.
They didn't do much early on, and then
they were late to the party, or at least announcing things. For sure, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. They were also the team who I noticed were doing the most like, let me trade draft picks, or let me trade people for draft picks, like doing the most movement.
Yes.
Once the draft started, or right,
Yeah.
Obviously the Hillary Knight one kind of takes the headlines, but
I also think it's going to be kind of wild, and I don't know, like, it's not like these people aren't going to like playing with each other, but seeing a team of like Hillary Knight and Daryl Watts and BCS all on the same team, like, when they were all elsewhere
separate,
last year, it's like so weird to see just that big change.
But that's where you wonder like how much of playing on different national teams. I mean, Barnes, Bilka, Curl Salemi, Knight all have played on national team. Not to say that takes the place of playing on a club or a professional team where you're together all the time, right? Like for those windows where you're together, it's 2 weeks at a time or whatever for camps and tournaments. But that will be interesting to watch for. I think I'm going to take a different tact. So Alex, covered one of the 4 expansion teams in their approach. I would say that Hamilton landed in a similar boat to Detroit in that they signed a lot of offensive talent.
Yeah.
They went in hard immediately.
Yep.
And so we'll see. Whereas, San Jose and Las Vegas, I really don't know.
And like just a quick note on those Detroit and Hamilton too, is like, there's a lot of big names on here. We're going to have to see how that ends up with their actual signings and cap space and things like that.
Right.
I noticed, I don't know when the actual signings come through for the draft, but they have not signed a lot of these players yet to contract. So I don't know if they're still trying to figure out a lot of that contract stuff, or if that comes later. But that's kind of where they're at right now.
Interesting. Sorry. I know y'all hate this when we yawn, but we're parents. Film late.
We're parents.
So I'm going to talk about an expansion team from last year.
All right.
I'm going to talk about the Seattle Torrent. So let's be very clear, right? This was an incredibly disruptive thing to go through for all teams in the league. Right? There is no team that was left unscathed by this process. Yeah. But I think that the Seattle Torrent fans would argue that they were the most scathed by the process. And especially as a team that had just formed, so had just been around for 1 year, I think that made it especially painful. I think Vancouver was like the least touched team from a shifting around and taking players type of situation. And so very different stories between the two expansion teams from last year.
There were a lot of fans on social media saying that the 1-year-old expansion team should have had a little bit more protection and things like that.
Yeah.
Like just breaking that team up so quickly.
Yeah. And I kind of get it. I kind of don't really. I can appreciate the sentiment. I do think they should have gone higher in the draft picks.
Yes.
I think that it was a mistake to keep. Well, I guess Vancouver and Seattle did get the draft picks before the expansion teams, but I think that New York and Toronto should have gotten draft picks before 100%. The expansion teams. So on the flip side of Alex's pickups for Detroit, Seattle lost Kayla Barnes. Defender Hannah Bilka, forward, Hillary Knight, forward.
Talked about all these people.
So really Detroit just took from Seattle is kind of how it went down. Corinne Schrader, Megan Carter, Mariah Keppel. These were some of the big ones that I noted. Now what they kept was Hannah Murphy, who was on the all rookie team last year as a goaltender, which is awesome. Alex Carpenter and Anna Wilgren were our 3 protects in that first phase for Seattle. So you had a goaltender, a forward, and a defender. Yeah. So you can already see like the difference here is they kind of went for some balance. It was very, very surprising, I think, to everybody that Nider was not protected. I think very disappointing to Seattle fans too, because Hillary Knight is, I actually don't even think fans are disappointed in losing. They're disappointed in losing her skill on the ice for sure. Yeah. But it's almost more of her character, her leadership, how she shows up. Right. And I think that in Seattle in particular, that was something that they really loved and appreciated about her. Still do, hopefully. They also were able to keep and protect defender Julia Gosling, Danielle Serdachny, Michaela Grant-Mentis, Aneta Terelova, Teresa Schafzel, Emily Brown, Lexi Adija. That's
a fun one.
Yeah. And so that's, if I recall back to like watching their games, like that's a pretty good core at the end of the day. But you did lose like your biggest, outside of Carpenter, frankly, your biggest, most known names, your Olympians, that sort of thing, right? Now, they drafted, they had the second pick in the draft, and as Alex mentioned before, they took Abby Murphy, who is the standout forward from the University of Minnesota. You've probably seen highlight reels of her puck handling abilities and her goal scoring abilities. She is very, very good. Yeah. She also happens to be a little bit controversial. Yep. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. In addition to her in the draft, they took a defender from the University of Minnesota, Sydney Morrow, Emerson Jarvis, Grace Elliott, Gracie Gilkison, and Gabriella Durante, who is an Italian international goaltender, to back up Hannah Murphy. And so some forwards, some defenders, they're again kind of playing this balance game. Where I think that this was especially hard, an especially hard pill to swallow for the Torrent fans was, like I just said, you went from Hillary Knight, using her as kind of this symbol of leadership, inclusivity, excellence in her craft, to what fans see in Abby Murphy as somebody who may have beliefs or values that are exclusionary, that are troubling to that fan base, right? Similar to Britta Curl.
Yes,
Salemi,
exactly.
Right? Somebody who we really struggled as Frost fans because she's on our team.
Yep.
And she is able to produce on the ice, which is good for our team, but we don't really care for her views and values in the way that she, kind of shares those with the world, right? And I get why fans feel this way. Yeah. We have talked so much here on the pod about the importance of, in women's sports, of creating a space that differs from men's sports, where things like community and values and things like that are upheld and are sort of not always front and center, but are pretty key to those fan bases, to the players, etc. And so I think they feel a little betrayed. Yeah. You also have this like new fan potentially, right? So we have fans who are just like new to professional sports in general. Yep. Or you have those fans who couldn't find a home in men's sports because oftentimes that is, we just like let people of poorer character in our view just play. Yep. Right. And we say we're okay with it. And so I think you got a lot of fans coming saying, I thought this was supposed to be my safe space.
Yeah, and something different than men's sports.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. You.
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot, and I think it's hard for, like you said, for there to be this community that feels so inclusive, so welcoming. It's this new place for new sports fans to gather. But then at the end of the day, the people who run the teams, the league, whatever it is, whether it's PWHL or anywhere else, their main goal is not, I'm going to break it to you. The league's main goal may be to build a community. The team's main goal is to win games and win a championship.
Yep.
And that's how they make money. And unfortunately, sometimes that means bringing in somebody who is not aligned with the overwhelming community of the sport.
Yep.
And it's going to be a tough pill, I think, for a lot of these new sports fans to swallow. I am all for people trying to make change and make it so that we don't have to swallow those pills. But it's going to be a very difficult change if it ever happens.
Yeah. I also do think like you do have to give, you can hope that maybe the player gets into an environment that they learn something new, right? And they change their behaviors and their actions and their support of certain things that are harmful because they're kind of shown them in a new light, right? But that aside, right? I think to your point, like the goal is to win games. This is a professional sports league. These players want to win games. I guarantee you that. And right now, like we have very little idea about what the product on the ice is going to look like. So I understand the feelings around alleged or proven like sentiments from these players and not liking them and what have you. But like, there is an assessment to be done on like, does that translate into success on the ice? I think we've seen instances where some behaviors are seeming to cause challenges on the court. Right. Or the field or the ice. And so like, those are things that they're going to have to assess. I'll finish with this. I mentioned this at the beginning, but Seattle had the highest average attendance of all teams last season. And I've already seen on social media people like saying that they're going to withdraw their support as a result of this. And so I really think that's interesting. And we talked about like the idea of the fluid fan in our last episode and how fans aren't necessarily loyal to a team, but they're loyal to an ideal or something or a player. And so I kind of wonder, like, are we going to see like Torrent fans like popping up? They're going to become Vancouver Golden Knights fans, or they're going to become, San Jose fans or something. I'm not saying that those are ideal spots for those things to land, but I'm just saying like, right? Like, will we see kind of this shift? It seems like an example of an opportunity to test the theory that maybe women's sports fans aren't just about the team in their hometown.
If there's a group large enough to actually like break away and stop supporting a team, I actually wonder where and if there's a tipping point for a specific league to say like we kind of have to like think about this, or like teams as we're building our teams, like will this exclude our fans on a large portion? Like at some point it may become a business decision to not employ certain players if the fans actually prove that is a big enough deal to them to watch the sport. So fans, you definitely have a voice. I doubt that there are as many of you upset about this as it may seem to make that change. I would also just say like there are however 22 other players on the team who are doing this for their living. Like we also need to be thoughtful about like, yes, our dollars are going to the league and we might not agree with the league, but the league is paying these ladies salaries. And so if we want to support the larger group, right, I do think we need to kind of stay invested on the overall goal, which is like starting to float all the boats of these women's sports leagues. Yes, exactly. Right? Okay. It is definitely
it's really tough.
It's a tough blade to dance on, that razor's edge, just, yeah, like both sides.
And this is where it is hard being in the women's sports ecosphere, right? Because it is different, because we don't want to make exceptions for bad behavior. We've found kind of a new environment where we don't necessarily have to do that because it's not necessarily the precedent. And so it's sort of like, how can we productively do that while not harming the opportunities for a bunch of other women who are amazing, right? And again, I don't know, Abby Murphy, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, we can't like kind of focus on the one at the expense of the rest.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
It is tough. All right, what's next? What is next for these teams?
Well, if you can't tell, I've been on a marketing kick lately. So I'm sort of wondering, we now have had the draft. We're in the free agency signing period. So there's like a little bit of noise to be made here and there. But it's like, how do you bring the eyes back to your league? They need to sell season tickets for these expansion teams. Well, and probably existing teams too. And so like, how do you kind of keep the momentum going? And so a couple things I thought of were, you have 4 teams that need names.
Yeah.
They're right now PWHL Detroit and PWHL Las Vegas, right? They need team names.
Yep.
And so I imagine that there's going to be events staged throughout the rest of the summer or into the fall to announce the teams and the mascots. And we'll get to see more of the jersey colorways and whatever.
Yep.
And so I think that'll be kind of cool. How do you bring fans into that experience, right? I think, was it the Torrent? Sometimes they do like voting, right? Or maybe it was the Kraken, actually, the Seattle Kraken in the NHL. But like you can vote, you can submit designs. How do you engage fans? The other thing that's coming up, and this is right before the season starts, but is the IIHF World Championship. So this runs from November 6th through the 16th. They already have like the group stages set. And so a lot of these women, much of the league, right? I think it was this past for the Olympics, it was like over a third of the league was going to play in the Olympics. So presumably a similar proportion for IIHF World Championships. And I'm kind of like, how does the PWHL use that, similar to Milano Cortina, as this like surge funnel?
It'll be interesting if they can actually kind of market that a little bit to say like, hey, our players are playing there, here's how you watch it. Because I think every time in the past 10 years I've even tried to watch the men's IIHF, it's like, where is this playing? I catch like replay like little clips here and there on the internet, but like if they can really like market, like here's where you can go watch all of this, or we're going to have it for free or whatever, right? That'll be really interesting.
Yeah. So we will be watching out for those things. Like we said, season will start right after that tournament. So they actually are delaying the start to the season because they didn't want to play like 3 games and then have to break. Like that's kind of silly. So, but that's what we've got ahead.
All right.
For PWHL.
All right, let's dig into this WNBA. We are at the 15 game mark, and we have a heat check here.
Heat check. We're gonna keep this pretty brief today, I think, as far as like digging into the teams specifically. But we are gonna talk a little bit about, I tiered out the teams into 3 groups, so we'll go through that, and then we're gonna both share like what are we watching for in these next 15 or so games. It is about 12 games until the All-Star game. So I'm kind of, that might be like my marker a little bit. Okay. So far, as we have gotten into the season, we have my 3 tiers, which are top contenders, challengers, so the middle of the pack, and then what I'm calling disruptors. I believe that on any given night, most teams can beat any other team. Obviously, you're not going to like have consistent strings of wins with these disruptors, but these disruptors could play a really critical role in what happens to the contenders, and specifically what happens to the contenders and the challengers. So top contenders, we've got the Minnesota Lynx, the Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, the Atlanta Dream, and the Golden State Valkyries. Dallas Wings fans are going to get mad at me. I do think that they are a very good team.
Yes.
I think that they have the most inconsistent defense of the top 6 teams, and I think that defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And I think until they figure that out, the Valkyries are in there because they have consistently good defense. And they shoot the 3 ball like no one else's business. And so if they shoot the 3 ball well and play the defense that they can play, they will win most games.
Yes, they will.
Dallas has had like they're good.
Yeah.
They are good. AZ FUD fans. But they are inconsistent.
Yeah.
All right. Challengers. Dallas Wings. They're at the top of my challengers list.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted. Indiana Fever. Washington Mystics.
Yeah.
Toronto Tempo. And the Portland Fire. Now, I will say this group kind of splits itself into 2 because I think like the Wings and the Fever are clear contenders. I think they'll be in the 100%. Playoffs, right? The next 3 is like, I'm not really sure what you're going to get on any given night, but they definitely coin toss. Yeah. They definitely can challenge, right? We just saw that the Mystics beat the Lynx. The Tempo right now have a little bit of a challenge for themselves in that both Brittany Sykes and excuse me. I was thinking about the Mystics. Kiki Rice.
Yeah.
Their rookie point guard are out on injury, kind of indefinitely expected to return, but that's like 33 points per game for that team. So we'll see how that goes. And then my disruptors are the Sparks, although I will say the Sparks the Sparks are right on that edge.
Their stock is rising.
They're right on that edge of challenger. The Storm, the Sun, the Mercury, and the Sky. Those last 4.
Yeah. It's about all you can say is
Now, the poor Sky, like, this is in my setbacks. So maybe I won't get to it. I'll wait. I'll save it. So that's sort of how we broke them out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I was just gonna say, I think the Sparks could like rise to the ranks to the top of the challengers by the end of the season,
potentially.
As long as Kelsey Plum stays healthy and they have some other things working there, like
they get consistent production from a few other players.
Yeah.
I feel like they have so many players that can produce, but it's like Ariel Atkins, where are you at? Erica Wheeler, where are you at?
Yeah.
Neka Ogumuke, where are you at? Cameron Brink, where are you at? Yeah. Like, can we consistently produce?
Yeah.
All right. So what are we watching for through the next 15 games? You want to go first?
You want me to go first? Yeah. So, I mean, we did just say the Wings were at the top of the challengers list.
They are.
I want to say
way better than last year.
I think we are seeing a transformation with the Dallas Wings. I want to remind everyone, last year they were 10-34. We said this year they will definitely not be 10-34.
We did say that.
Look at them. They're currently 10-6. So unless they want to lose 28 games straight, and I'm not trying to hex them, they are going to be better than last year.
They won't do that. They play the Seattle Storm tonight.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah. And then I think the other storyline there outside of the Fudd Beckers reunion is Jess Shepard. She's averaging 5 more points, 4 more rebounds, and 3 more assists than she did with the Lynx last year.
Yes.
And she has 2 triple doubles. So
she is playing. She's averaging a double-double basically right now. I think at this point, or pretty darn close to it. They have all the talent.
Yeah, they have the tools.
They have to figure out how to play defense, specifically in the paint. I think which then you're like Jessica Shepard, and I think that's been a little bit of a head scratcher to me. They got Jess Shepard and Alana Smith from the Lynx. Both signed some really big contracts, and like Lan just like has not found her groove.
Been a little. She hurt.
Well, she
has the mask.
Yeah. So I don't know how much that's affecting her. But if you, I just think they're still like a younger team, right? They're still kind of figuring each other out a little bit. Like
you got the coach there,
and you have and you have a new coach too. Like you wonder how different that would have been had that group come in under a more established coach, right? And not saying a Cheryl Reeve or a Becky Hammond, but like that kind of somebody who's been in the program for a while, right? So I see you. I see you. I think that they are right there. I think they definitely are. They're definitely a problem for the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah.
The Aces have yet to beat the Wings.
Yeah, what is it? The Aces can't beat the Wings. The Wings can't beat the Lynx. The Lynx can't beat
the Aces.
Oh yeah, the Aces.
So far.
The Valkyrie can't beat the Lynx.
Yeah,
it's just like a big circle thing there going.
Ancestral thing going on. Okay, what am I watching for? I took less of a team route and went more on some concepts. My view, the upsets are coming, or in our case, they've begun. Right? We saw this. We talked about the Sparks over the Liberty.
Yep.
We talked about the Mystics over the Lynx.
Yep.
We had the Chicago Sky get really, really close to beating both the Liberty and the Wings in like a very back-to-back games. And so I think you're going to start to see. So here's why I think we're going to see more of that is now. I believe almost all the teams have played each other at least once. I think there's a few exceptions to that. Yeah. Like I know the Lynx haven't played the Liberty or the Fever, but they've all kind of seen each other now at this point. And Olivia Miles is like not a surprise to anybody anymore. Yeah. And we're actually seeing that play out on the court, right? Golden State had a game plan for her. Natalie Nakase last week was like, you lit us up last time. I am going to game plan the shit out of how to defend you. Yep. And it worked.
It worked really well.
She didn't score, right? Now, she did other things. Yeah. She leaned into her defense and got some critical blocks and whatnot. But so I think you're going to see coaches getting smarter, players getting smarter, game planning differently around teams that they've seen, right? So these challenger type teams are going to have the book on the contenders, right? And the disruptors are going to have the book on the challengers. So and the contenders. So I just think we're going to see more of that. I think we might be past the 8-game, 9-game win streak type of thing that we saw in the beginning of the season. I think we're going to go more to, it's going to be very normal to win 3 or 4 and then lose, right? And we go back to we said before, and I think the key is how do you make sure one loss doesn't turn into 2? Yep. Right. And so on and so forth. I already talked about this, but to me, defense is critical right now. The teams that are winning games on their defense. Yes. Not on their offense. And so you have to buckle that down. And I think the teams where we see some gap in that challengers group, I said the Wings, the Fever still have a lot to work out on defense. I think the Mystics can be inconsistent in their defense. And then you've got the Tempo and the Fire, right? It's if you could tighten that up a little bit, you may be moving into that top tier. And then the last thing.
I'm interested in your first question here.
The officiating. And my question is, have we settled into this yet? Or is it still a question mark and something that players are trying to navigate through and coaches?
I don't think we've settled in.
I think we're still confused.
Yeah. I think there's 1 or 2 games a week where the officiating is a non-story.
And then there's
the rest of them
that are
major questions.
Problems. Yeah. Yeah. Agree. We just want consistency.
Yes.
We've talked about this so
much. You can
get
hacked down at one side of the court, and then at the other side of the court, it's
I just don't understand. I would like to see a better consistency even around technical foul calls and things like that. And something that is important and to start thinking about is those techs, as you rack them up, you have to pay more money and you eventually get suspension. Yeah. So players who have been getting those have to be careful too. It's not an unlimited fund of technical fouls that you get. So I think it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, I think it is too.
All right. Let's round this out. We'll talk a little bit about All-Star break.
Oh, yeah.
I already said 12 games away. Out. So that's going to be kind of our window. It's going to be on July 25th in Chicago at United Center, where the Chicago Bulls play. Chicago Blackhawks too, right?
Yeah, Blackhawks play there, yeah.
The fans so far have kind of started to do their voting. And as of the middle of last week, which was the last time that they posted those votes, we had the following kind of in the top 10 here. So we had Asia Wilson, number 1 with a little over 300,000 votes. We had Paige Beckers, not far off, just about 10,000 votes behind, followed by Aaliyah Boston, Brianna Stewart, Caitlin Clark, Jessica Shepard, Angel Reese, Gabby Williams, Olivia Miles, and Kelsey Mitchell.
Not a lot of surprises on any of these.
No big surprises there. So still more voting to go.
Yeah.
This is a combo of fan votes and then there's some media votes input here too. What's cool, what I think is cool about the WNBA All-Star Game is that the top 2 vote getters get named captains of the teams, and then they pick like kickball teams in the playground when you were in 2nd grade. And so there's no like rhyme or reason to how those teams get constructed. It's a big party weekend for just having fun is what I mean by that. And they get like about a 6-day break from regular season play. And so I'll be curious to watch. It's a fun watch. What I do think is kind of is interesting here, if you look at like the team representation, it's like pretty, I don't know. There's some names that I'm surprised aren't on here.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching how it shakes out.
Yeah.
Kind of what goes on these next couple weeks here.
Yeah. I was just looking at it. I was like, AZ Fudd just out of that top 10 too. She's there.
Just out of the top 10.
Natasha Howard, our girls right there, number 12. So
13-year vet getting her all-star call up probably.
Yeah, that'll be a fun weekend.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. What to watch. All right. We're going to go right back into WNBA.
Why not?
We picked out one game per day as per usual. Friday, Atlanta Dream versus Golden State, 9 p.m. on Ion.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be going. I'm kind of thinking I want Golden State to win that one. I just want as much messiness all over
give us all the mess.
So, Saturday, we've got the Sparks versus the Fever.
Ooh.
Or sorry. Yeah, that's the Sparks.
That's
versus the Fever. 7 p.m.
It's always hard because it's Las.
Yeah, it's LAS.
Vegas.
I'm like, it's Las Vegas.
Sparks.
And then Sunday we have the Lynx versus the Wings, 1 p.m. on CBS. And after we record, but before next week's episode, will be the Commissioner's Cup next Tuesday. The Aces versus the Liberty at 7 p.m. on Prime.
Amazing.
Yeah. Then we have on Friday, NWSL Challengers.
We're back.
Commissioner's Cup Challenge. Some sort of cup that starts with a C. The Challenge Cup, Gotham versus Kansas City, Friday, 7 p.m. on Prime. We also have the LPGA. They have the KPMG Women's PGA Championship Thursday through Sunday on NBC, Golf Channel, Peacock. It is a stone's throw
in our backyard.
Right here.
We are not really exaggerating. We're not exaggerating. It's being played at Hazeltine National Golf Course, which is pretty close to us.
Yeah, pretty close. And we unfortunately cannot go.
I know.
And then obviously we talked about Wimbledon. Qualifiers have started this week. It starts officially on Monday. We'll get the first rounds.
All right.
All right. Momentum and setbacks. What do you got here?
Do we need to start with setbacks?
Yeah, let's start with setbacks.
Okay, so I've mentioned mine already, but I'll just flesh them out a little bit more for us. So staying on the side of the W, the Chicago Sky, 2 really close losses. One first to the Liberty at home and then to the Wings in Dallas. Some would say that at least the Dallas loss was partially due to the referees. I did not watch that game, so I don't want to speculate, but that's what I have heard, seen, read. And then, unfortunately, I think anybody who's played a sport like knows how emotionally taxing games like that are.
Yep.
And to do that back to back, honestly, like Chicago, ever since they beat the Lynx at the game I was at early in the season, I was kind of like, they're another team that like has the pieces. They just can't figure out how to put them together yet. And we were watching them tonight. They got just
destroyed
by the Connecticut Sun.
even.
And you're just like, wow, you are on the whole like emotional hangover of trying to rise and fight against two like titans, and you come in and get blown out by.
And it's really hard too because like I think from Unrivaled we really got to love Tosh Cloud, and like she is super emotional, not in like a necessarily a bad way. She can be like very like she's an emotional leader, and so like it's really hard to see
brings energy,
see that happen to someone like her who's just so invested in just playing good ball. So
yeah. And then my other one, excuse me, is the Toronto tempo. So I think I had the tempo in that like challengers bucket when we just talked about it, but I do think that these injuries to Sykes and Rice are really detrimental to them, and I think we've seen that they were losing to the Dream by like almost 20 points when we came in here to record. Like and they've been inconsistent defensively. So I just like don't I see them actually maybe falling into that disruptors bucket.
Yeah, for sure. My setback, I don't know if it's a setback. It's more like, will the chaos at Angel City
pay off?
Is it chaos and it's going to not go well for them, or is it going to reinvigorate that team and kind of see them
a lot of change,
find their way into the playoffs? So, I don't know if anything there is really a setback, just like, what are we going to see happen out of there?
Sure.
And, what will happen?
And then for me, momentum, I just said soccer. You got the World Cup. We've talked about the Challenge Cup on Friday. We've got the Queen's Classic. We have all these international signings. Alex and I were talking earlier before taping of, just about 6 months ago when we started this, there was this like panic in the NWSL that we were losing all of this top talent, and they instated the Rodman rule. You saw Trinity re-sign, and now you've seen this draw, right? We haven't even seen, something for San Diego that's really poignant that we forgot, but Katarina Macario is there. Like, will she be healthy after this break and ready to play? And can she kind of help shore up the gap that Dudinha's injury leaves? But if we're pulling over players, I saw Chicago signed a Spanish international star. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. They desperately need help, right?
Yeah.
If we get Alexia Putellas, it's just like that. Sam Kerr, right?
Yeah, like so many names.
It's big. And like you said before, when we were talking about kind of the marketing around the World Cup, like I do think we will look back on this moment, not the World Cup next year for the women, but this moment right now as being this like catapult launch on explosive growth again for the NWSL.
And if it pans out, that's like a automatic bid for commissioner to go into the Hall of like whatever Hall of Fame they're gonna have, right? Like like if they can pull this off, it's gonna be amazing.
100%. So that's my momentum. What's yours?
Mine was just I think the WNBA in general. I think looking back on our 25 episodes, we talked a lot in the beginning about how we thought they were kind of not doing well in the CBA negotiations as the league, as like the commissioners and stuff like that. But I think right now they're really hitting their stride. Exciting games almost every night. Like you said, the 3-pointer to end the 30-year anniversary game on ESPN Women's Sunday Night. That event, that's really cool. I mean, Olivia Miles as a rookie is just out of her mind.
Lighting
She's insane. So I think that's drawing a lot of eyes that maybe wouldn't normally watch, the WNBA, just to see how good this kid is. And so I think just overall, we're in a good spot with the WNBA.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but I've loved like bringing all the players who were like there at the start back, and you've got like Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper and, whoever, right, contributing to the broadcast. They're pulling in players like, we saw Kelsey Plum on the broadcast last week.
I don't remember who the announcer was during one of the halftime shows because I only caught a split second of it, but they were wearing like the original like WNBA like starter jacket or whatever, like whatever it was.
Night?
Yeah, I think it was last night.
That was Teaspoon. That was Teresa Weatherspoon was wearing. They had her on.
Yeah. She had this like the white, red, white, and blue. It was really cool.
Yeah. So I think I agree with you. They are playing this really, really nicely. The marketing campaigns are great. Like, I think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Special announcement.
I almost forgot.
So next week we are actually out on vacation.
Yep.
And so we will be pre-recording our part 2 of our Pioneers or Trailblazers episode that will air at our normal cadence,
normal day.
But we will not have kind of
the
weekly update. So you're going to have to go 2 weeks without your day-to-day sports news.
And then we come back, we'll do 4 hours for catching up on everything that we missed.
We will try not to do that. But just as you are getting ready to listen potentially next week as we head into the holiday weekend, just know that it will be a slightly different program than usual.
Wow.
RTG
_pod on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, rtgpod.com, Raising the Game podcast at gmail.com, Raising the Game on Substack. I think I got them all.
We're getting there. Like, save, subscribe, comment, share, things. Do all the things.
Yes.
Obviously it helps us. And mostly it's just like fun. We really are tickled every time we're like, someone's listening to us.
Yeah. Why? Well, okay.
So apparently y'all are. So thank you. We appreciate you. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.